Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Let's Talk Broncos, brought to you by Mile High Sports. I'm your host, Bree Maestas, and I'm joined, as always, by Zach Seegers and Joey Richards. You can find all of their incredible work on milehighsports.com and catch all of our previous episodes on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Joey, Zach, how are you both doing this evening?
I'm doing really well. We just got off a phone call talking about some LTB things going on. I'm worried the podcast is going to break up, but other than
you're
that,
stealing my thunder. I'm saying 1 second. What I was going to say is, guys, I'm excited to announce this is the Eagles edition of the Let's Talk Broncos podcast. The band is breaking up. This is great. We just had an hour-long business meeting. I'm hyped. This is great. Straight into the show. We're crushing it today, y'all. This is going to be normally we were just talking about this. Our energy gets rolling midway through the show, and we're coming in guns blazing.
Fired up. We are all hot and ready to get this started. And I would agree that we almost came to blows earlier. If we were all in the same room, I think we would have gotten a little bit more heated. We didn't. Thank you, Frankie Abbott, for tuning in and letting us know we were late to broadcast. We were having a super important conversation. Like Joey said, big things are coming up for the Let's Talk Broncos podcast, and we're so glad that you're able to join us every step of the way. I do want to let y'all know the first installment of training camp culminates to a joint practice endeavor with the Dallas Cowboys tomorrow, Thursday the 11th. Both Zach and I will be out there, and you'll want to make sure you're following his coverage on Twitter for the most up-to-date information coming out of camp. So go ahead and do that right now, Zach_Seegers. You can also follow Mile High Sports over there on Twitter, where you can set notifications for all the information you're going to want at a training camp and upcoming news regarding your Denver Broncos. I do want to say this final practice will lead Broncos country into the first preseason game. That's also against the boys. And we want to take a first initial look at the unofficial depth chart. And we thought it best to highlight a couple of positional groups to watch out for heading into Saturday. I know you both are excited for this first game coming up. I know I am. I'll be there. Before we jump into it, I do want to remind everyone watching right now over on Twitter, you need to jump over to the YouTube stream, and we'll get your questions, comments highlighted. You can ask Zach to respond to any questions that you might have for that last day of practice, which is going to be so much fun. That starts at 11 a.m., goes until 1 p.m. Pretty excited about all of this. So get your questions and comments highlighted, get in the chat right now, interact with us. And guys, I think we should get right into it. How do you feel?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great.
I'm going to highlight this one because it's fantastic. So much more structure with Bree here. Thank you. I missed you all. I missed you so much, Frankie. I'm sorry. I was not able to be with you this last opportunity. Mudvayne was incredible, though, so definitely didn't want to miss that. Hello, Grandizer. We will talk about that. That's some interesting conversation heading into QB1.
With how he's been underwhelming at camp.
Exactly. I mean, we have some people out there reporting that the guy, he just does not have it anymore. Hey, while I'm on that topic, make sure you guys look at the names of those reports. I mean, Broncos country, we know the good ones from the bad ones.
Yeah, watch out for those Zach Seegers daily threads.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't stand them. Awesome. I think we'll just jump right into it unless you guys want to talk about anything else we've been seeing prior to going through. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say we should talk about Walton Penner ownership group, now official, new owners. They were in house today. They were talking with Peyton Manning. That's notable. We ended up not picking running back for what we're talking about today. Melvin Gordon, foot injury, that should be discussed. That's really concerning. From what I heard around, I don't know. It doesn't seem, I think Melvin Gordon had a really good camp, and we were trending towards a closer 50-50 split. He was going to be a big piece of that offense again. And now you're without him. That's a huge loss. I will say, fortunately for the Broncos, Mike Boone has looked phenomenal in camp, so that'll lessen the blow, but still a big loss.
I'm a little excited to watch Mike Boone while we're on that topic. I like Mike Boone.
You guys are doing mini victory laps around me, and I don't appreciate it. The news. I know. Melvin Gordon out with a foot injury has been kind of a blow to my morale. And I understand that it is camp, it is practice. Players do get injured, but I do think it is a blow for this offense. We don't know how bad it's going to be, but it is under evaluation, and we'll see whether or not that keeps him out of the regular season. I wasn't anticipating Melvin Gordon getting a whole lot of playing time this preseason. Were you?
I wasn't. I wouldn't think there would be any need for Melvin Gordon to get much run in the preseason. There would be no reason. The guy's a veteran back. It could really only do him harm, I think.
And that's a great question, Bree, because it allows us to hit another like mini news item, which was what Hackett said today, talking about how really doesn't see the need to play Russell Wilson and doesn't see the need to play many veterans. I don't think we'll see a lot of like established people or established starters rather in this game. Like, I don't think we'll see Russell Wilson in the preseason. I really don't think we'll see Javonte Williams at all in the preseason. I don't know. I think we're going to be down a lot of people. Albert O, I don't think we'll see him in the preseason. What's the point of seeing Jerry Jeudy in the preseason? Like, they might see a little bit, but based on the way Hackett sounded today, I don't know if we're going to see, like, I would say maybe like a series here or there, but I think that's like last preseason, and it's like one of those really kind of lame preseason series where it's like the starters are out for a series and they come off the field and it's like 70% speed almost, it feels like.
Yeah. That's interesting, just because like one of my big worries for the Broncos, and we're going completely off topic here doing this, but I kind of like it. One of my worries there is just like the Broncos. One of my big worries for them is that like there's so much newness. Like they need snaps. I think those snaps with the starters could be really valuable when you're adding a brand new head coach, new schematics, new play caller there, and then adding a brand new quarterback as well.
I think you're going to see it in joint practices. I think that's when they'll do it.
Okay. All right.
Sure. I think that's fair. I think there's a propensity for more injury there. That's maybe not exactly what you want to see, but I do agree. I think that reps are going to be important moving forward. I don't want to carry on with running backs for too long, but is there potential to see Stevie Scott and Jaquan Hardy see playing time in the preseason, or are they just mostly practice squad guys to fill in the depth there at running back?
To Zach's point, it's almost like if they're not going to play Javonte and Melvin's dealing with a foot injury, it makes sense why for the preseason they would load up on backs. They're going to need them. And if someone looks good, why not give them a shot? I don't know. I don't think that after or with Borghi and some of these other guys after that, it's like let the best man win. I'm not exactly all in on one of those guys.
And Borghi, I'll say, has looked nice in this zone blocking scheme so far. I could see like him having a mini Khalfani Muhammad moment this preseason and getting some love for him.
There you go.
Let's stay on the same side of the ball and start off with a position group that kind of gave me a little bit of a surprise when I saw the unofficial depth chart that was released yesterday for the Denver Broncos. Position to watch for me is going to be tight end, because I was thrilled, but also kind of surprised to see Greg Dulcich up there at number 2 for tight ends. Does that mean we see Greg? Do they keep him back a little bit to reserve? I know he had that a little bit of a nagging whatever. And so do you use him in the preseason? Do you see what he's made of? Have we seen enough of him out of camp? Or do you think it's kind of a little bit shocking that they've got Saubert listed all the way at 5th? I thought that was also interesting. And I think that that's something that you're going to want to see there, because I think he was doing quite well during training camp, at least in the snaps that I was seeing. You've got Andrew Beck rounding out the 3rd spot. So how do you guys feel about the tight end position? And what do you think about the unofficial depth chart?
The Saubert at 5th thing is, I mean, it's interesting only because for how shocking it sounds, if you look at the guys above him, I think all of those guys have a good argument to be made. Obviously, Tomlinson is there for a reason. The blocking, he kind of fills as a niche that the other tight ends don't really fill. Beck, same thing, right? Because Beck is able to play fullback and tight end. So those are two things Saubert doesn't. Dulcich's number 2 is also interesting, but when you consider the fact that he's either, if we're just going off of strictly talent, he's either the first or second most talented tight end on our roster. Whether he actually plays the second most snaps on a tight end, I'm not sure about. The depth chart can be kind of screwy like that. Like one guy could be the second string tight end just because he is the Albert O replacement, but he's probably not your inline tight end or the guy you would want to play next to Albert O when you have these other guys on the roster. I think the depth chart is kind of just outlining that if Albert O were to get hurt, Dulcich would be the one to replace him. That's how I look at it, at least.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of looking at it. I think another way is with these tight ends maybe being more incorporated into the slot and into like, I don't know, some wide receiver alignments, right. To just use a general term with Tim Patrick being injured. Those might be the top two guys. I also think this is surprising to me because across the board, like you see Baron Browning, who I think's been considerably more impressive than Malik Reed, still behind Malik Reed on the depth chart. I think Damari Mathis might be behind some people. Like there's Montreal Washington's not listed behind some people, but I don't know. Nick Benito, a good example of like being listed behind some people. That's kind of surprising to me. The defensive linemen, Uwazurike and Henningsen, is an example. Like it seems like they're making a lot of young players or like new additions earn their spot on the depth chart. And Greg Dulcich has barely practiced with the team. Like, and I'm not overly concerned about it. It is what it is. But I don't know. I don't get why he got the pass. I think that does say something about how this team is planning on using Greg Dulcich. But I'm glad Bree chose tight end because this is one of the positions that like actually makes me a little mad on the Broncos because I just don't get what they're doing. I don't understand Eric Saubert being fifth. It does not make sense to me.
Could this
Andrew
potentially
Beck,
be? Sorry.
Andrew Beck is comfortably the worst tight end in this room with the least.
But don't you think there's value to that versatility? He does something that no one else on the roster can do. He's the only one.
What is that? And what is fullback? That? I totally believe Saubert could play fullback, and he's a better inline tight end. Yeah. And Tomlinson has proven that he can play fullback at the NFL level. He did it last season for the Baltimore Ravens. It's achievable. It's totally or here's the other thing.
But is that something you would want to change around at this time? Because that's kind of
probably not. But they never even gave it a look. Like that's part of what makes me mad about it. It wasn't like, oh, we looked at Beck at fullback and we looked at Saubert at fullback and we looked at Tomlinson at fullback and we really think Beck's the best fullback. Then I wouldn't be salty about it. That's not what they did. They just went, okay, Beck's our fullback, and so he's going to make the roster. That's what's annoying to me because Saubert brings so much that Beck doesn't. And like, let's see if he can also be the fullback and we're just in a better spot. But Beck got every single fullback snap I saw. Same thing, like Tomlinson, it just logically made sense. Let's get a look at Tomlinson at fullback because you're keeping him as like this blocking specialist. It'd be nice if he could do more things for you. Nope, didn't get a look at it. Not a single one. So I think Saubert's kind of been shafted. I think if he was given the chance to audition himself at fullback, I think he would have done adequate. I think he would have done just as well as Beck does.
Can this be a Russell Wilson preferential kind of thing? Like, doesn't that have something to do with it? Like perhaps
he doesn't. But Saubert was at Russell Wilson's compound. I don't believe Andrew Beck was. So that would poke a hole in it being a Russell Wilson demand. I don't know. But if it is a Russell Wilson demand, I think that would be a reasonable justification.
Maybe they just don't think these other guys can play tight end. I don't know. I mean, not tight end, play fullback.
Maybe, but I would have liked to see a look at it because Tomlinson has in the NFL for a good rushing team. I don't know.
Well, what if you want to have an inline blocking tight end and a fullback?
Man, it would be great if we could have figured out if that was an option because you could have had Saubert and Tomlinson. You're going to have Beck and Tomlinson now. Beck is a more limited option than Saubert or Tomlinson. You could have figured out of it.
I wonder, there's a lot of things that play into that. And I was just thinking about, Greg Dulcich and whether or not he get a ton more reps just because of
Sorry.
the by proxy of not having Tim Patrick. But yeah, you guys bring up a really incredible point.
No,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. With the Greg Dulcich thing, we'll give your boy Dulcich some love. I just don't. If I'm being real, I don't think we're going to see much of him in the preseason, right? Like,
Yeah.
He's coming off the hamstring, which is like kind of a nagging thing. I think that's why they've kept him so limited in camp, because he's been like jogging or working on the bike or whatever. But I just think they want to keep that really safe, play things really slow, and hope he's fully healthy for the games that actually matter. So, especially considering it seems they're taking such a conservative approach to the preseason, I imagine it won't be Dulcich seeing a lot of snaps. Unfortunately, Bree, I will say I'm excited to see if he gets any run against the Cowboys in joint practice, because I think that'll be the best look we've gotten at Dulcich so far.
It'll probably be pretty telling as well. Really quick from Grandizer before we move on. I didn't think we'd spend 15 minutes on tight ends, but here we are. I think my new favorite positional group is being talked about. Did the Broncos T core kind of get forgotten due to the awesome wide receiving core? What do you guys feel about that?
I think that no, because the Broncos tight end room is just kind of has a lot of uncertainty, and between the first two guys, for how excited I am about Alberto, I'm not going to make any bold prediction to say the guy is going to be an absolute monster this year. Dulcich tight ends. I also wanted to point this out in that it's a little concerning if he does miss preseason for a position that historically takes so much time to develop in the NFL. And then if you were to ask him just come in barely taking any snaps in a regular season game, that's a big ask. I mean, then beyond that, it's just like you have guys that fill specific niches but aren't really overall products. So I don't know. I don't think that the wide receiver room's overshadowing them. I just don't know if there's a ton of as much excitement with the tight ends as there is wide receiver.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think Alberto's a really good receiver, but I think he's a questionable number one option in this offense. I think Dulcich, while very talented, is a rookie tight end, and rookie tight ends are rookie tight ends. And then like Saubert, who I was just stumping for pretty hard, I just think he's like a solid number 3 tight end who can do some of the inline things at a higher level that like the other guys can't really do. He's the most versatile, true wide tight end on the roster. That's why I'm stumping for Saubert, not because he's like a great talent. Beck, I just think is like, he can play special teams, like that's kind of how I feel there. Like he can be a gunner kind of.
I don't know how
to
Cal's point. I don't know how I ended up as the bet guy on the podcast.
Yeah, this is shocking. And then
you need to change
like
your name on Twitter, Joey, to Beckstan. And then people will think you're talking about the artist, and we don't want any of that. I do want to jump over to the other side of the ball. Let's get on to our next position group. We're going cornerback. Tell me, why is this the position to watch heading into preseason and Saturday?
Oh, yes. I just remembered we have a hard out, so I'm going to be so speedy fast here.
We're good.
Cornerback. To me, this is so interesting because I think it goes all the way throughout the roster. Like I was talking about, I don't think we'll see a ton of the starters play, but I think the depth is going to have a lot of different battles. Damari Mathis versus like Ojemudia is a kind of low-key little battle I'm interested in. Fans have believed really strongly in Ojemudia, and he's a veteran corner, and so I expect him to ultimately be ahead of Mathis on the depth chart. Mathis has been better in training camp. I strongly believe that. Maybe it's because Ojemudia is drawing tougher matchups more often, but I don't know. Damari Mathis has been absolutely incredible. That's a little battle I'm curious to watch. Asang Bassi versus anyone else, because Asang Bassi had a few rebound practices, but for the most part has gotten burned filling in for K'Wan Williams. It just hasn't had some great moments. I'm curious to see what that matchup with like Faion Hicks, who I think is nipping at his heels a little bit. Faion Hicks has really surpassed my expectations this training camp. That's another one I'm really interested to watch. Bless Austin is someone who has flashed at moments at camp, but when I talk to like more veteran reporters on the beat that have more sources than me. They're like, bless Austin is a guy to watch. So I think that's a really interesting one. It's just all the way throughout, except for like Donnie Lewis and Jaquan McMillian. I think every cornerback is like fighting for a depth spot or fighting for something important, whether it's like Damari Mathis battling to be the first guy off the bench or the battle for who that top replacement nickel is going to be. It's all intriguing. That's going to be one of the positions to watch all preseason.
Zach, am I wrong to read your thread today and say, damn, OJ got cooked? Like, I read so many of your tweets today where it was like, beat Ojemudia, beat Ojemudia. Oh, this one went deep, beat Ojemudia. I'm curious.
I would say somewhat like, okay, yes, he did, but I think that had less to do with like Ojemudia playing bad and more like he looked like he was, if everyone out there for the jog through today, and this was the most boring practice yet, and I'm just trying to tell people what's happening and really almost using it more as a method of like telling people who's playing with Russell Wilson and who's playing with Josh Johnson and who's playing with Patrick Surtain, to use some coded language there. Just that's kind of it. I think he was running at like 20% if everyone else was at 30.
Okay. Interesting. I just wanted to know that. But yeah, super interesting position to watch. The nickel thing is really concerning to me because it just is. Like when Bassie was out there, it didn't look good, to Zach's point, and different things like that. It makes me wonder. I don't want to be too revisionist guy, but in the off season, I think there was a lot of Broncos fans wanting Bryce Callahan back. Even some of these other people that we hadn't on our roster. I don't know why I'm spacing on his name right now. Even Kyle Fuller looked okay in the nickel, better than he did on the outside. He gets a really bad rap for that because it wasn't good, and he was an okay nickel, really good tackler, but made probably better than Bassie, I think, is what we saw from him last year. And so Bassie's concerning. Oh, Hairston. Yes. Hairston was right there. That was the one I wanted
Hairston. Yeah. It really should have been. I'm telling you, it would have been so easy for the Broncos to earlier in this offseason. And this has been Brees' thing to stand on. They needed to invest more at that position. And it is glaring right now because it's like, oh man, I hope this 7th round rookie can outplay a Sang Bassie.
Right.
Thank you for giving me credit there, Zach. I was going to scream it, but I feel like I do it every episode and it gets a little old. So appreciate you throwing that out there. Did you already mention Jaquan McMillian? And we're just not even.
Yeah, he's just been like, you want to talk about someone he has not had a good training camp. I don't think. I don't want to be mean, but he's not. I feel bad for the guy. He's been on the wrong side of like a lot of the back end receivers popping off.
I'm just going to go with Cal's comment because I believe it. You can never have too many cornerbacks. And what did we do? We let one of our best walk because there was concerns at health. We'll see how that holds up when the AFC West is kicking our butt in that position when people inevitably go down with injuries. This is a frustration. Hairston, additionally, someone that we were watching very closely and we believed highly in, is no longer on the roster for the Denver Broncos. And it's going to slowly but surely come to bite us on the butt. And I don't wish that. That's just what happens throughout the course of the season. So that's what you're going to end up seeing here. It's going to be something that I become frustrated about in a general loud way. I do like that Patrick Coyote with the Damari Mathis season. That is that's pretty good there. Yes,
no.
Joey.
No, I just was throwing up the one for Damari Mathis season.
I'm throwing up the 2 for Patrick Coyote. Yeah.
There you go.
Are you guys good with cornerback or would you like to move on? All right. Position to watch next up on the radar. Zach went ahead and hit the button for me. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. We're looking at edge. Joey, tell me what's going on here and what you're looking forward to on Saturday.
Yeah, no, I'm just interested. I mean, obviously, Baron Browning's a huge story. I haven't been able to see much of him from edge, so that's going to be headlining the situation. But I'm more so just – I don't know. I want to see if these depth guys can play more of a complete role. Like maybe they don't have to be amazing at just one thing, but more complete. I tweeted this today, but it feels like the Broncos edge room has such a high ceiling, but such a low floor. You just need a lot to go your way. Like, we have health concerns with Randy Gregory and Bradley Chubb. Now, the idea of both of them staying healthy through the entire season, you should be fine at edge. But it's a little scary knowing their injury history. Then under that, we have Baron Browning, who I have yet to see play edge. Now, it sounds like he's lighting it up in training camp. And when I say that we haven't seen him play edge, the amount we've seen him play edge is minimal. And then behind that, it's Jonathan Cooper and Malik Reed. I haven't been the biggest Malik Reed person. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I got to say, weirdly enough, it's not Jonathan Cooper behind them or Malik Reed behind them. Malik Reed's ahead of them, and it's Jonathan Cooper and or it's not Jonathan Cooper, it's Jonathan Kongbo and Aaron Patrick behind him, and then it's Jonathan Cooper at like the very end of the room. I think he's in serious trouble right now.
I don't like that.
That is so odd after the season he had last year. I mean, I wasn't saying that he wasn't like spectacular, and I think some Broncos fans talked up his ceiling higher than it should have been. He was clearly limited in some physical areas, like his length was going to be an issue for a long time or his entire career. But his motor was insane. He flew around the corner pretty well. He had that patent. He just hit the double hand swipe, rip around the corner. That was kind of his thing. And it's just shocking that he's down that low. But the overarching theme of this is just that our floor is really low and our ceiling is really high. So if we do have injury concerns, can someone step in and play more of a complete role?
I will say, I think Patrick's joking with position to watch long snapper in the comments. It actually might be. They've been on the North Field trying out long snappers. So Jacob Bobenmeyer, have your head on a swivel. But yeah, I think edge rusher is definitely one to watch. Baron Browning, I think, has been the story of camp for me. Like, and I know there's been some shots at the right tackle position, and maybe that's the reason that edge rushers have been looking good. Baron Browning's been doing it on both sides. He's been doing it against everyone. He's had moments where he's flashed against Bulls. I am really excited to see if the Baron Browning stuff is real and carries into I know it's preseason, but just like actual contact, like an actual kind of football game. Because, man, that could be a total game changer. Because like Joe was saying, the ceiling's so high. Randy Gregory, the first half of last year, looked like an all-pro. Bradley Chubb has like a Pro Bowl season and a season that was better than his Pro Bowl season that he didn't.
We know what Bradley Chubb could be. Yeah.
Right? And then Baron Browning and Nick Bonito could be awesome contributors. Like if they reach, I think, not their ceiling, but like their rookie ceiling, the best case scenario for this 1 year, you're looking at a phenomenal core of pass rushers. There's also the really bad scenario where Baron Browning is kind of a designated pass rusher, as is Nick Bonito. Bradley Chubb and Randy Gregory are injured, and you're left with leaning on Malik Reed and Aaron Patrick in this defense. And that is a nightmare of death.
So is that not the worst case scenario, though? Won't it be kind of exciting to see him get after it in an actual game-like scenario, and then hoping that all the other dominoes don't fall in that terrible way?
Yeah, 100%.
Sorry, that was a question.
No, sorry. It will be. It'll be very exciting. I was looking at comments too. It will be really exciting. That's what I'm saying. There's such a wide spectrum of outcomes. It probably is somewhere in the middle. I doubt all the positives hit with Chubb being fully healthy and Gregory being fully healthy and playing at their highest levels, and Bonito and Browning proving they can be 3-down players and yada, yada. I also don't think it's going to be all nightmarish where Chubb can't stay healthy and Gregory can't stay healthy and Browning's super limited as a player and Bonito super limited as a player. It's probably not going to be the worst possible scenario or the best case scenario, but there is so much gray area in there. And wherever it falls, it's probably the biggest X factor for this season.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah, and Joey was talking about just like in the past.
Yeah.
At training camp, just to be clear,
He's
we're all on the
playing a
same
ton of
page.
Baron Browning.
He's playing edge. He's not playing inside linebacker at all. We're talking about Baron Browning's past career, or Joey was.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you guys did a fantastic job hitting all the high points, the low points, and everything in between. Like I mentioned earlier at the start of the show, tomorrow's the last day of training camp. So if you want to catch either Zach or myself out there over at UC Health Training Center, we'll be there 11 to 1. Zach will be on the other side, so you'll probably not even get to see him. But if you want to say hi to me, I'll be up on the concrete. I do want to wish everyone a fantastic evening. We're so happy that you joined us tonight. Again, amazing things coming for the Let's Talk Broncos crew. We cannot wait to share these things with you, and we will be doing so soon, just not tonight. So thanks for tuning in. Joey, Zach, tell the people where they can find all your work.
Yeah. Everyone can go follow me at JR Drafts. I'm writing a piece on Nick Bonito and how the Broncos can put him in position for success. Coming up, so keep an eye out for that. I'm excited to be back into writing, take a look at film and all that. I've been doing it a ton. So, yeah, everyone just keep an eye out for it. Zach, my man.
Yeah, milehighsports.com. I'd pull them off, but that'd be weird. Milehighsports.com for all my writing, at Zach_Seegers for Twitter. Live camp thread, all that good stuff. And you're about to be able to find a whole lot more of me on the Let's Talk Broncos podcast, because we're going to be doing this show a whole lot more.
Yes.
That sounds like a threat, and I think the people should be ready for us. I don't think they are. Bree spends her time at camp swiping right on Tinder. No, I pulled the comment before I read the whole thing. Patrick.
Confirmed.
We love the interaction. We appreciate you guys being here with us. Please be sure to go follow at Mile High Sports, subscribe to their YouTube page, subscribe to ours, put the notifications on for Zach, because he's going to be giving you a ton of fantastic coverage out at camp tomorrow. Turn on Joey's, because he releases fire articles now. He's back. I think who's coming up next? What's the next article you got?
Nick Bonito.
Fantastic.
Nick
I think
Bonito.
he already said that, and I spaced it out. I was also swiping right on on Tinder at the time, so I apologize. You guys are fantastic. We appreciate you. We'll see you next time on Let's Talk Broncos podcast, and let's go Broncos.
Let's go.